yeah, to try and find a transformational project. The company's got cash. It's got over £1 million of cash. It's got an Eastern European direction, and I guess primarily in gold. So the first job I had when I got in there was to look at the existing projects. The underground proposition in Serbia didn't sort of fit what I thought was the right thing for Orogen, because if you've got a small mine, you're making small profits by definition. It ought to necessarily follow that a small mine is quite easy to manage compared with a big mine. Sadly, that's not true. Because in a big mine, if you're the general manager of a big mine, you've got rock mechanics engineers, finance officer, underground manager, mine planning engineer. If you're the mine manager of a small mine, you've got nobody except yourself. So to me, that doesn't fit in. You can't build a company around a small mine.
So what would you say would be your ideal minimum size for a gold mine?
Good question. It depends on the size of the company, its financing capability, but I wouldn't want to be involved in an ounce less than 50,000 ounces per year. And the bigger the better. You know, I managed a gold mine with Andrew there in Saudi Arabia, and we produced 180,000 ounces a year. But you know, so our big's big. It produced 180,000 a year because it had a head grade of 23.8 grams. So we still didn't mine an awful lot of material a day. We mined about 600 tons a day. So ounces is not necessarily the criteria, but to me, I don't know if you went in the panel discussion there, but when Tom was saying short-term production is the thing to be in, I'm not sure it is, because as I say, if you make a profit of $2 or $3 million a year, you could quite easily lose $2 or $3 million a year, and it's not easy to get that money back or to get it refinanced. And if you make $2 or $3 million a year, you're not going to pass it on to your shareholders, because if you declared a dividend as a small company on AIM, I think there'd be a serious fraud squad investigation. It's unheard of. So from that perspective, Serbia, I think, doesn't fit. But there are companies who it does fit, and we're talking to them. In terms of Armenia, that was the key project, and that's the foundation project. And the board had a quick look at it, and I guess they'd had a long look at it, and I had a quick look at it. And I had to admit to the board that I wasn't experienced in that part of the world, but the intercepts and the results that I saw were actually quite encouraging. And so therefore we decided in what was left of the season, you know, it's about to snow, it is snowing, we ought to do a 1,000-meter program and test a few ideas. And we tested a few ideas, and probably as you know, we made a news release yesterday, which was quite bullish. We got good intercepts, 22 meters at 1.08 and 6.2 meters at 3.17. A nice run of 21 meters at 2.68. Now, when you're talking about gold and you're talking about near surface, they're meaningful. But what these intersections did, they showed us, and I think I'll get I'm talking away here. There you are. There's the geophysics. And geophysics can be very deceiving and very difficult to work with. And this is IP, and the magnolia would suggest high chargeability and the propensity to discover metal. And it wasn't unreasonable that previous management and existing management, Ed Slowey and co, decided, well, let's target that magnolia as our place to drill. And what they got, it was before my time, they got intercepts of pyrite. They got alteration, but lots of pyrite. So, of course, the geophysics worked. But, there's not much of a market for pyrite. And so it was evident that this was a controller. But it might be smart to actually, and that's, what I brought to the equation, I guess, let's test to the east. Because tips of boreholes to the east were actually showing some gold results. And that's how we managed to get these good gold results. So the reality is now, I think, that Armenia will certainly not be a company that we would want to, a project that we would want to part with. It's, as I sit now, it's a project which I would be reluctant to joint venture with, because I think it's got legs. There's a mine being developed not very far away, and if we can start producing these grades, we're slightly better, not slightly, appreciably better in terms of grade than that mine. So I don't want to make any forecasts because, as I say, I'm very, very early days for me with this company, and I wasn't bought in to develop much. I was bought in to transform the company while it was in decent cash and find a project which in this market is available, but in markets of 2006 and before would never have been available. But Musk has given me a little bit of excitement early on, and I certainly wouldn't recommend to my colleagues on the board that we part with it. So I don't know if there's much else I can tell you there. And there's a section of the boreholes. You can see that these tendency, we're beginning to understand what might be at Musk. And I think that in terms of international global projects, it's near surface. We might be able to grow a nice tonnage, and so therefore has good prospects. But my main reason for being in this company is to identify, negotiate, deal, and bring hopefully a well above project into the company. My template is very simple, and it's worked in the past, is large data banks generated by majors. Majors have got an history of making the wrong decisions for the wrong reasons. You know, early on in my career, I used to follow BRGM around the French because they were extremely good at capturing data, but they were extremely bad in interpreting that data, what it might be in propensity to form a mine. And Andrew works with me, and down in Madagascar we saw so many examples of the BRGM making really, we tested their geochemistry, and it was brilliant geochemistry. We tested the geophysics, brilliant. And we might have been very strong there, but for the very, very weak government, and the fact that you've got a coup every second year or so. So, you know, not a place to operate. So the criteria is big data banks that we may be able to bring into being. When you acquire these companies, it doesn't negate the requirement for cash. So obviously, I don't intend to take Orogen into an arena where it's got to raise large amounts of cash, because the reality of that is you won't be able to. And if you do, it's terribly dilutive, and you're on a no-win. In a different life, a different company, we managed to get a deal whereby the entry costs are quite low, and we're pretty sure that better days are around the corner. Another thing worth noting, of course, is even if you don't do work, it's the cost of holding property. In South Africa, you pay your license fees, and that's it. Again, a different life. In America, you pay your claim fees, and that's it. If you want to work in Chile, every year your cost of holding the property goes up, up, up. If you want to work in Zambia, every 2 years you have to half the size of your concession. So if you don't do any work, you throw half your concession away and don't know what you're throwing away.
So what's the story in Armenia then?
The story in Armenia is good, really. We're only $200,000, I think maybe 300,000, that order, off having earned our earning of 2.5 million. And holding costs are very low. And the fiscal regime, I've had a good look at, and it's a little bit challenging, but better than quite a few places in Africa. And as I say, there's a mine developing not very far away. backed by Canadian funds. So obviously, whoever's backing that feels that the fiscal conditions are workable and manageable. So Eastern Europe has historically not been on my drawing board, but this project is an interesting project. But shareholders aren't looking for interest; they're looking for results. So it's an interesting project which we can bring into a resource, I think, quite quickly. And that search, I haven't got long for the search. I don't know if you, as I said, I'll say it again, that I don't know if you went in the panel meeting there. These atrocious conditions that we've got aren't going to last. And I've been in these times before. Nobody wants any mining properties. It just turns, and then, everybody's on the aeroplane. Zimbabwe's a classic example. Nobody wants to work in Zimbabwe. I bet my bottom dollar that within the next year, you won't be able to catch a plane down to Zimbabwe. Everybody will be wanting to go down there and get mining deals. That's the way this planet turns. So, in a nutshell, Serbia, we're talking about JVs. Mutsk in Armenia has given us a very pleasing result on a limited program before the season. The board has got in its treasury over £1 million, which is not a lot of money, but compared to most of the guys in the junior sector, makes us cashed up. And we're looking for let's call it a transformation project, but let's call it a world-class project, which will add considerable value to shareholders and give them expectations over and above what they could expect from Musk and Serbia. We're on with it. And as I say, it's not going to be the death of the 1,000 lashes. We've got to get ourselves sorted by March next year latest. So thank you very much. As I say, that Ed could have taken you through the geology of Mutsk, I think, in much more detail, but I don't think that's what you want. You want to hear that we're on course, we've got money in the bank, we've had a pleasing result, and we're both proactive and reactive to the acquisition of a company maker. Thanks very much. Thank you.